Now we're going to look at writing functions from a table. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the relationship between x and y. Now sometimes you can look at what x is and then what y is, and it's pretty easy to figure out what's happening from x to y. I'm going to actually jump down to the second one and just have you take a look at the x to the y here. So if you're going straight across, what do you notice is happening? You might notice that every time you multiply x by 5, you'll get the y value. So what you're seeing is that y equals 5 times whatever that x value is. So it's always a good idea to go back and double check by substituting the value in for x. So x is 1. So you can say, well, 5 times 1 is 5, and that works. Check it again. Times 2. X is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. That works. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so this is your equation. You've got y equals 5x. You might also notice, I'm going to get rid of this here. You might also notice that when you're going down from 5 to 10, it's plus 5. From 10 to 15, it's plus 5. 15 to 20, it's plus 5. And so here is plus 1. Plus 1. And 5 over 1, that's your change in y over your change in x, is your rate of change or slope. You'll notice that is your slope. And there's no intercept here. One of the clues to figure that out as well is this constant change right here also happens to be the y value of that first term. If you were to go back 5 to continue with this pattern, 5 minus 5 would give you 0. And then if you were to go back 1, it would be 0, 0. Which you can see with this equation, 5x, there is no y-intercept. It's 0. There's nothing written after there. So that's something else to look at when you're doing these equations as well. Take a look at the third one down here. You'll notice going from 3 to 6 is plus 3. 6 to 9 is plus 3. 9 to 12 is also plus 3. And then over here is plus 1. Plus 1, plus 1. So looks like we've got a rate of change of 3, and you have y equals 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. You go in, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. So you've got y equals 3x is your function for this table. Cans of soup and number of servings in a cup. Y equals, looks like times 4 times 4 times 4, 4x. Y equals 4x. 4 to 8, you have plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. Over here is plus 1, plus 1. Let's go back up to that top one. So I have negative 2 to negative 1 is plus 1. Negative 1 to 0 is plus 1. 0 to 1 is plus 1. Over here is plus 1. But this isn't a y equals 1x. Y equals x would mean that they would have to be the same. Whatever x is, y is. So it's not y equals 1x. But we do have a common difference of 1. So we have 1x. But what happens from that 1x to get us to that negative 2? I'm actually going to drop down here. And I'm going to go here because I think it's easier to take a look at what's happening when you're dealing with a positive x value. So let's go ahead and say if x is 3, substitute it in here. So we have 1 times 3 is 3. How are we going to get to 0? We're going to have to subtract 3. So we've got y equals 1x minus 3. Well, let's see if that works with everything else. So y equals x minus 3. Let's go down here. If x is 4, 4 minus 3 does give you 1. All right, so it works for 2 of them. Let's go back up to the top. If x is 1, 1 minus 3, that does give you negative 2. So your function, your equation for this table is y equals x minus 3. Let's take a look at what's happening here. From 65 to 90, it's like plus 25. 65, 70, 80, 90, 90 to 115, plus 25. Okay, so we've got plus 25, and this is plus 1. So we have y equals 25x. So what's happening 25x to get to 65? We do have to add. Well, 25, if we did substitute that 1 in, 25 times 1 is 25. Well, 25 plus what? We need to get to 65 here. 25 plus what? Well, I guess if we subtracted 25 from both sides, we would have 40. 25x plus 40. Well, let's see if this works for 2. So if x is 2, 25 times 2 is 50. 50 plus 40 will give you 90. Okay, what about 3? 25 times 3 is 75. 75 plus 40 will give you 115. And then 25 times 4 is 100 plus 40 will give you 140. So we have 25x plus 40 is this equation. Why don't you go ahead and try this next one. Pause the video and see how you do. How did you do on this one? Did you get y equals 6x plus 4? You'll notice that we have a common difference of plus 6 on this side, plus 1 on this side. So we have 6x. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 4 is 28. Go ahead and try the last one, and then see if you can figure out what those next two values would be. You might have noticed that you have a common difference of plus 12. Your next two values would be 51 and 63, which you could get by adding 12, or you could go ahead and look at the equation, and we have y equals 12x plus 3, and you could say 12 times 4 is 48 plus 3 gives you 51, and then 12 times 5 is 60 plus 3 gives you 63. The next sheet that you have in your review packet is a little mid-chapter quiz, and go ahead and see how you do on that. You can use your notes or you can try it without, and I will take a look at that when you're finished. We will be using these equations and writing these equations or these functions from tables when we have to figure out a certain term, say the 50th term, instead of just writing this out, plus 12, and adding repeatedly. We'll be able to use the equation, which will make it quicker for us.